Hi, I'm Dale Campbell from Trademark Tribe, and today I'm going to talk to you about the different types of intellectual property and what trademarks mean for you and your business. A little bit about me: I worked in a large London firm for many years and then decided to set up my own business in 2011. So I'm Dale Campbell and I'm a trademark attorney, and my business name is Trademark Tribe. Um, and yeah, so I work with a lot of small to medium sized businesses and I've loved every minute of it. I'm all to do with intellectual property, so that's like everything that's in your head. Um, and intellectual. So I thought it would be useful to summarize the different types of intellectual property and then just talk about what I specialize in and what I do and why trademarks are important for your business. So, yeah, if you can share this video, that would be brilliant. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, let's just jump into it. So there's four different types of intellectual property, and the first one is patents, then there's trademarks, copyrights, and designs. So a patent application is basically a recipe that you write on how to invent something. So it's usually to do with products and it can also cover some software. And in exchange for you providing the recipe, you get 20 years exclusive rights. And in those 20 years, you can either exploit your own invention or you can license it out to somebody else. And then after 20 years, the patent falls away and then everybody is free to use it. So you've got 20 years protection of your invention. And then there's design rights, and that protects the shape of products. And usually perfume bottles benefit from design rights. Some fashion houses will use design rights. The trunky, the suitcase has got a design right on it, so it's anything to do with the shape of the product rather than how it functions. Design rights last for 25 years, which you need to renew every 5 years. And yeah, then nobody can copy the shape of something. So if shapes are important to you, a design is quite an important right to have. Copyright is an interesting one because that covers any artistic work, and artistic work could be logos, it could be photographs, it could be paintings, it can even be your written work, so the words on your website, words in your worksheets, workbooks, and that all benefit from copyright protection. And copyright is an automatic right that comes into existence as soon as you create something. You don't need to register it anywhere, but you can speak to a solicitor about how to protect your copyright. It's quite important to keep any dates of anything that you created, stuff to prove that you created it, and on the date that you created it. And also for business owners, if you've got people doing writing for you or designing your logo, and that you need to remember that the creator or the photographer is the owner of your copyright. Many businesses that deal with copyright, things like logos and writing for your website, will assign the copyright over to the business owner once their invoice has been paid, but some places can keep the copyright. And sometimes you'll find where you can buy logos online, it's because they keep the copyright and they can resell the logo. So it is important to consider who owns the copyright in some of the artistic things or the written words that you're using on your website or in your workbooks. And then the last right is trademark rights. So a trademark belongs to a brand and it can protect your brand name and your logo. And that's what I specialize in. So, or gonna speak to you for the next 10 to 15 minutes about trademarks, and why they're important and why you should consider them. So let's just see. A trademark can either be your company name or your logo, but basically a trademark is a brand a consumer uses to identify where the products and services come from. So if they have a good experience, they can repeat it, and if they have a negative experience, they can avoid it. Now, I know lots of us are offering great products and services, so obviously we've got brands that clients will want to repeat and keep on buying, and that's why your brand name becomes important. because it's all the goodwill that you build up in the excellent service you offer, the excellent products or the that you offer, and the reasons why people buy from you instead of somebody else, and they link that to the name of the product. So that's why trademarks become important, because a trademark gives you exclusive rights and ownership to the use of the brand as registered. So that means that it belongs to you, and if somebody else uses it without your say so, you can take action against them. Or if another business sets up with the same name or brand as you, you could lose your customers to them, with them thinking that it's your business. So you basically don't want somebody to set up in competition with you in using your own brand. And by having your brand registered as a trademark, it gives you the powers to take action. So there's two hurdles to get a trademark registration. The first is that the mark needs to comply with trademark laws. And basically that means that it needs to be something distinctive and not descriptive, because the trademark office doesn't want to give you ownership and exclusive rights to something that everybody should be free to use. So an example of that is if you had taxi firm, you'd never be able to trademark the word taxi, because that should be a word that's free for everybody to use. If you were a fruit seller and you wanted to have a trademark of the word apple, that wouldn't work, because that's descriptive of the fruit that you're trying to sell. But you can register Apple for computers, because that's not descriptive of a computer. So that's the first hurdle, that it needs to be something distinctive and not something descriptive. And the second hurdle to get a trademark is that it can't be similar or identical to an already registered trademark, because that means somebody else has got ownership and exclusive rights to the use of that brand, and you could be infringing their registered trademark. So it's important to know that your mark's going to comply with trademark laws, and that there's not an already registered trademark, because once you file the application and you spend your money, the trademark office don't give you a refund. The other quirky thing about trademarks is that they fall into 45 different classes covering different products and services. This is governed by trademark law, and every product or every service will fall into a class or classes. So you may need one or more classes in your application. Typically, most businesses, well, you will definitely need one class, but you may need a second or third class to cover different products and services. So like class 25 covers clothing, and class 18 will be handbags, and class 14 will be jewelry. So if you had a fashion sort of business, you might need 3 classes in your application. So this actually means in a weird way that 2 identical trademarks can exist on the marketplace, because they fall into different classes for different products or services. An example of that is Polo, because Polo is registered for the motor car, it's registered for sweets, and it's registered for the shirt. And the reason why they can do that is because they fall into different categories or different classes and won't cause confusion in the marketplace, because as a consumer, you're not going to expect the motor manufacturer of your car to be the same manufacturer of the sweets. So you're not going to get confused by seeing the same name for 2 different types of businesses. However, if there is going to be confusion in the marketplace, then you'd be able to take action against somebody else who uses the same name. And the other thing about trademarks is that there's different types of trademark applications. So you can register the word, which is just the word in plain text with no claim to style or color or font, and that'll give you wider rights to the use of the word. And then there's the logo application, and there's different types of logo applications. So you can register your word in stylized font like Coca-Cola's got, or you can register the word and the picture like Pizza Hut has got, or you can just register your picture like the Nike swoosh has got. The Trademark Office treats all of those applications as separate and distinct applications, unfortunately. So if you wanted to protect your word and your logo or a picture, you would have to apply for 2 or 3 different registrations. So in the world of small business where you've got one pot of money and you need to decide what you're going to spend your money on, if you can get a word mark, I'd say go for the word mark. Sometimes if you've got a descriptive word, it won't work, and then you could apply for a logo, because the logo will have something distinctive with it, a picture or the fonts and colors that go with it, which might make something that's quite descriptive become more distinctive. The logo applications protect everything, the mark as a whole, the style, the color, the font. So in an ideal world, you would file 2 applications. In the real world, you would go for what you can get, really. So that brings me to, before you file your application, it's quite important to do clearance searches to make sure that your mark is going to comply with trademark laws and be accepted. And secondly, that nobody else has got an identical or a similar mark already registered. So the trademarks don't protect you just for an identical mark, they also protect you for similar marks, because basically what you want to do is stop the confusion in the marketplace. So adding an S to the end of your word, or changing the spelling by changing the S to a Z, if there's an already registered mark, won't really assist you, because it'll be confusingly similar, and trademarks also said out loud. So you need to make sure that the trademark office is going to say yes, and that you're not going to have another trademark owner come along and say that's my already registered trademark and you're infringing my trademark rights. So clearance searches beforehand will let you know whether you're going to get a successful application or not. And then it's also, as much as I love trademarks, I think you also need to think of the wider marketing picture and have a look and see what else is coming up on Google, what else, and the names are identical or similar that you're going to find across social media, because you need to be out there marketing your business. So you need to see what competition you're going to come up against. And if somebody's been using a name for longer, or they've got a registered trademark, it's probably not worth trying to go into those waters and muddy the water and create competition or confusion where it's not necessary. So if you get to a stage where you decide that it's time to file your trademark applications, I'm going to talk you through the process the trademark goes through. Once you file an application, it takes approximately 4 months from application through to registration. The first 30 days, the trademark office decide whether they're going to accept or reject your application. They could reject it because it's descriptive, or because the form hasn't been filled in correctly, or because when you filled in your specifications, which describes the products or services, you've either put them in the wrong classes, or they don't understand what you've said. So once that's all dealt with and accepted, then your application gets published in the Trademark Journal for 2 months for opposition purposes. If no oppositions are received, it'll go through to registration. If an opposition is received, you need to deal with that either by forming a coexistence agreement with the other party who's filed an opposition, or coming to some sort of arrangement with them, or you need to go through the whole opposition process, and then the trademark office will decide whether allowing your mark is going to happen, or whether they're going to refuse your application. But once your mark is registered, the good news is it lasts 10 years. So at least you only need to renew it every 10 years. It doesn't expire like patents expire. So as long as you renew it every 10 years, your trademark will last forever. Basically, the first trademark on the register is in the 1880s, and it was for a beer. So as long as you keep it registered, you keep it alive. And the advantage of having a trademark registration is that if somebody uses your brand without your say so, you can take action against them. And if somebody has a domain name or social media names or an eBay store or something, and they use your registered trademark, then you're able to take action against them. Facebook and that's Amazon all require registered trademarks. Amazon especially now require registered trademarks to make sure that it's an authentic brand and that the brand owner is the one who's given permission to sell goods. So yeah, there's loads of reasons to trademark. In the past, two businesses could quite easily exist offering the same services under the same names if you operated in different towns. That's now, with Google and the internet and businesses having a far wider reach, you become aware of other businesses that are using the same name as you, or if a competitor sets up and comes ahead of you on Google, it could disrupt your business. And that's why it's quite important to have a trademark in order to keep ownership and exclusive rights of that name, so that you're not losing customers to somebody else who decides to use your name and basically steal your customers from you. Sometimes it just happens unwittingly, two people come up with the same name and the same great idea, and sometimes it happens on purpose. Somebody sees a great name, thinks that's a great business name, I'd love it. And then if they're savvy enough to trademark it, they might even be cheeky enough to write you a cease and desist letter after they've registered the trademark to say that you using their registered name. There are some defenses, but it's always easier if you have a trademark registration. So the two reasons to trademark is so that you know that you can build your brand and you can trust that you can use the name, and you can put all your energy and expertise and money into building a brand that you know is yours. And then the second reason to trademark is to know that you're not infringing somebody else's registered trademarks. Normally in the first couple of years of business, your business reach isn't that wide, so you don't know. It's year 3 or 4 that when you pop up on Google or your advertising starts working and you've got lots of word of mouth, that's suddenly you get that dreaded cease and desist letter because the trademark owner has now become aware of you and your business use, and then they decide that they're not going to allow you to use their registered trademark, and then they send you a dreaded cease and desist letter. So I can help you on either side of the fence. Obviously, it's good to think about registering your trademark as soon as you're able to. And I do clearance searches before we file the application. They usually take 2 to 4 working days. And then if everything's okay, I'll prepare the application for your approval and file it on your behalf and handle it through the whole process. Yeah, you can do it yourself by looking at the trademark office and filling in the forms yourself. Yeah. So basically, that is trademarks in a nutshell, a very quick whistle-stop tour of trademarks. But I'm always happy to chat about trademarks. I'm always happy if you want to give me a call and ask me a few questions or drop me an email. Yeah, you can find me on the Businesswoman in database and the members directory, and please feel free to connect with me there or contact me or message me on Facebook. I'm always happy to talk about trademarks, help you understand the process, because it's always better if you understand everything. And I'm always happy to have anybody who wants to chat about trademarks and think about their intellectual property and how to protect it. So I feel that this is, a lot of small businesses feel that trademarks are not for them yet because they're too small and they don't have to worry about it or they don't have to think about it. Unfortunately, trademarks are just as important for smaller businesses as they are for the bigger corporations. And I deal with a lot of small businesses on both sides of the fence. I've helped businesses protect their brands, and I've also had to take action against smaller businesses when they've been infringing another business's trademarks. So it's not great, but yeah, I can help you on either side, and it is an important topic to think about and register as soon as possible. So yeah, that's me. Yeah, little trademarks in a nutshell. Dale Campbell from Trademark Tribe. You can find me at trademarktribe.com or on the Businesswoman in members database. Feel free to connect with me there. And thank you so much.